You're watching Debriefing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys and gals, Nary here from Debriefing Gaming, 7920 The Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you into the Let's Play episode of Cat Adastra. So y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Cassius and Kyllian had quite the trip where they got to meet the Monitor, the enforcer of the parents' will, and the one who keeps an eye on the wolves and their empire that apparently causes a lot of trouble on the galactic scale. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Okay. Oh, you guys will be watching this when Dead Space comes out. Okay, so Dead Space will be out today when you guys are seeing this video, and I'll be busy playing it, so yeah, good times ahead. Anyway, I hold my hands up to show him that I mean no harm, and he stares at me for what feels like over a minute. Finally, he mumbles out my name. Kyllian! I nod slowly, not wanting to make any sudden movements. Yes, I'm Kyllian. You're in the palace, in Amicus's old room. I know where I am, idiot. Seems like he's returning to his old self. Well, that's good. He had a pretty bad reaction to whatever that was. Cassius is pushing himself up into a sitting position, doing it slowly just like I had. He lets his head hang for a while, probably going through the same dizzy spells I just experienced. I wait patiently, deciding to move back over to the sofa while I do. His ears perk up as I sit down, and he looks back up at me. What are you doing? I frown. What do you mean? I mean, why are you still here? You may leave. I guess I could. I just wanted to make sure you're okay first. Cassius lets out a soft, indignant snort. You think I believe that? You're dismissed. I give him an incredulous look. Seriously, first of all, this is Amicus's room. Second, I'm a Kyllian. I don't see you ordering Nephru around like that. This time Cassius lets out a louder snort. Ha! He's royalty, and an actual Kyllian. You think that I'd pay you the same? Kyllians see all their citizens as equals, and worth just as much as he is in their eyes. Instead of snapping back, Cassius just lowers his head, eyes closed before he lets out a deep, forlorn sigh. I'm tired. If you wish to antagonize me, please leave it for another time. I've been pushing the boundaries with Cassius on purpose to see what the limits are, and I'm getting more comfortable conversing with him without fear. Still, I'm a bit taken aback at Cassius' sudden tone of defeat. It's one that I haven't heard often. We're both silent for a minute or so, then I finally speak up. So what was that? That smoke stuff. It was a drug, right? Cassius is silent for a bit longer, and I wonder if he's going to ask me to leave again, but instead he just sighs and finally looks up, his eyes looking a bit more clear now. It's called Somni, a plant from the southern region of the continent. It helps us connect to the parents. Yeah, you said it's the traditional way? The old way, yes. Usually we communicate through parental tech, but as you know, they're not currently speaking to us with that method. Okay. So this forces it to happen. In a way. Does it work? Cassius glares at me. You would know. You were there. I go silent, that statement coming as a surprise to me. I'd seen Cassius, of course, but I thought it'd only been part of the hallucination. You saw me? Oh, please, Simeon, or whatever the hell you are. You're only trying to humiliate me further. I was right next to you. So that had been real. I sit back on my hands, contemplating all this. I've read about DMT experiences back on Earth, how if you break through, you can meet extra-dimensional beings that tell you the secrets of the universe. I would have considered my experience to be all in my head, but if Cassius was actually there? I noticed then that Cassius is looking very closely at me, gauging my expression. What? He spoke to you, didn't he? What did he say? I try to think of what to say. If this is real, then I doubt telling Cassius everything will help me out in any way. He must see the hesitation on my face because his fur bristles. The Emperor demands you tell him what they told you. I glance up at Cassius, feeling less and less afraid of him with every threat he sends my way. He really is all bark and no bite. He just sort of asked me what I was doing there, that's it. Cassius glares at me before finally seeming defeated once again, looking down. But he seemed okay with me being there. He was a monitor, too. I don't think Amicus is in trouble. Cassius shakes his head. Oh, that was Kyllian. He seemed okay with me being here. He was a monitor, too. I don't think Amicus is in trouble. Cassius shakes his head. I don't trust anything he said. He was a demon. I sigh. What did they say to you? You look pretty scared. I was not scared. I let out an involuntary laugh before I can stop it. Damn you! I was simply unprepared for the experience. It was much more intense than the previous one I had, that's all. Cassius looks at the ground again, and I can see that the insides of his ears are burning red. I know that laughing at him was a shitty move on my part. I should be working to get him on my side, to help Amicus. I make an effort to get my expression under control. Listen, I'm not against you, Cassius. Actually, I think you were working together here. I'm just trying to figure out how to best help your brother. Cassius continues to stare silently at the floor, though I see an ear twitch as if acknowledging what I just said. If we're going to work together, we need to at least be a little bit honest with each other. Maybe I could help you figure some stuff out. I realize how hypocritical that is, especially considering that I'm hiding what the parents had just told me. Cassius lets out a skeptical huff. You? Help me? Yes. Cassius seems to contemplate, then shakes his head. Well, nothing there could help us. They simply torment me when I try to communicate with them. Torment? They appear as demons and taunt me. It seems that the parents truly do want to cut off contact with us, which I'm fine with. Cassius says that last bit with such meek defiance that I almost feel sorry for him. Maybe it was just the drug. I've heard plenty of stories of people freaking out on mind-altering stuff, especially if they have problems with anxiety. I do not have a weak mind, Kyllian. That doesn't mean you have a weak mind. Sometimes you just... Enough. Will not have you speculating about my mental capacities. This time I'm the one sighing, wondering for the 100th time how the hell this wolf is Amicus's brother. So they didn't say anything to you? Cassius pauses, a frown tugging at the corners of his mouth. No. I raise an eyebrow at him. What? Of course they said things to... What? Of course they said some things to me, but nothing useful. You sure? Of course I'm sure. The parents have turned on us. That's all that I need to know. Think back to the conversation we had in the hallucination. The monitor had told both of us that Cassius isn't the Emperor, and if Cassius had heard what I heard, then that's probably what he's thinking about right now. But I know that now isn't the time to challenge him. I can tell that he's trying to recover from the trip. Still, looking at him right now, staring at the ground, looking disheveled and defeated, I feel myself wanting to help him. Out of everyone on this moon, he seems to be the most stressed out, and I feel bad for him despite everything that's happened. But I know he doesn't want my pity right now. So I eventually leave Cassius alone on the bed and wander back out into the halls, feeling as if weeks had passed since I had last been out there. I think back to what the dragon-like creature had told me, about how I'm here for a reason. This has all been planned out by parents who seem to be completely frustrated at the behavior of the wolves and their inability to follow through on their plans. For a brief moment, I wonder how much more smoothly things would have gone if I'd been abducted by someone like Nephru and taken to somewhere like Kyllian. But then I wouldn't have met Amicus. Besides, it seems like it's just the wolves that are giving the parents problems, not the other siblings. Which reminds me of the only bit of advice that the parents had given me. Watch the cat. Spy on Alexios. That's something that I think I can do if I'm careful. Despite the new level of scrutiny I've fallen under, I've also been walking around the halls of the palace for the past few days without incidents. I've even come across Cato a few times, but for whatever reason he's completely ignored me. All for the better. So I start to scour the palace for the cat. He's actually pretty hard to find when he's not looking for you, but at least I know he's usually in the gardens, if not in the hallways watering the plants. So after eating a quick lunch, I decide to start my search in the gardens. I look back and forth through the foliage as I walk quietly along the various pathways. It's quiet, pleasant, and peaceful. But after everything that's happened, it has an ominous edge to it, like something could just jump out at me at any moment. I do this for about half an hour before I start to realize how fruitless this search might be. Alex would be hard to find even if he was out here, and besides, he could even be all the way out in the city doing his ambassador work, whatever that is. Just as I'm about to give up, though, I hear something. Sniffling, gasping, and crying? I pause, listening. It's a bit difficult to hear through the slight rustling of the leaves in the wind, but there's definitely someone out here that sounds upset. I can't really tell who it might be, since it sounds like they're trying to keep quiet. That, and there's another sound, too, another voice, and this one I recognize. Alex. It's a soft murmuring sound, like he's soothing someone. Probably the person who's crying. I wait there for a few moments, waiting to see if the sound fades or gets closer to which would tell me if they're moving, but it stays constant. So, convinced that they're sitting down, or at least standing in the same spot, I creep closer to where the sound is coming from. It's in a secluded part of the garden, coming from a small square that's surrounded by trees and bushes. I'm familiar with this square, the one with the statue of Drusus, where I've been laid out to die. I know that I can't use the little path that leads to the statue. I'd be seen for sure, so I walk up to the bushes that surround it and start looking for a break in the various branches and leaves. The sobbing sound continues, and I can hear Alex's voice more clearly now. I still can't quite tell exactly what he's saying, but I catch the occasional "don't worry" and "all is well." I can't imagine what's happening in there. I start to wonder if this is exactly what the parents had hoped I would come across, and my heart starts to hammer in my chest. Am I about to find something that's going on to help me out of this mess we're in? I finally find a thinner coverage in the foliage, and I'm able to see through. First I see Alex, his back to me, crouched on the ground in front of the statue. He's draped over someone, hugging them, his face pressed to the side of their head. I can only see their ears and parts of their shoulder, but I know right away that it's Cassius. He's got his head bowed deeply toward the ground, his paws to his face, shaking with his sobs. Alex hugs him tightly, whispering into his ear, clearly trying to comfort him. Cassius only responds with an occasional shake of his head before finally blurting out, "But am I a fraud?" His voice squeaks uncharacteristically on the last word, and Alex responds with a gentle shh before nuzzling the wolf's muzzle. I watch for a few more moments before drawing back, feeling uncomfortable, knowing that this is a private moment between the two of them. I know now that this won't exactly help me in any way aside from making me feel even worse for Cassius. Still, I found Alex, so I move away, toward a bench that's further up the path, one that gives me a good view of the entrance to the square and at a distance that won't make me seem suspicious. A good 10 minutes pass before there's any movement. First, Cassius comes out, in the process of straightening out his armor, his expression blank as he stalks off up the path away from me. I wait a while, maybe another 5 minutes, wondering if Alex took a different exit from the square. But at that moment, I see him walk out, looking completely neutral as he looks around. I freeze up, positive he's about to see me, even though that would be okay, and he instead walks straight ahead, toward the pond. I watch him go for a while, then follow. It feels strange trying to spy on the pet ambassador like this, especially when I have no idea what I'm doing. But this is the only hint I was given to free Amicus, and if this is the only way, then I'm going to do it. I find the cat at the pillars, already pulling away at the weeds. I sigh and wait, watching for a while, realizing that this could last hours since Alex always seemed to enjoy weeding for some reason. The cat is so meticulous about gardening here, and I have to wonder why, considering his efforts really wouldn't be all that visible in a garden this big. I remind myself of why I'm here and settle down on another bench, one that's also a good distance away so that I won't seem too suspicious if he sees me. This time I sit there for a few hours, occasionally adjusting the way I'm seated as my ass gets more sore on the stone bench, and as the sun sets I realize how boring spying actually is. Around the second hour, the sun is completely set, and I debate just giving up and trying another day. At that moment, a drone suddenly drifts up to me, making me jump and duck my head down a little bit, as if that will help me hide me from Alex. Nephru requests. Shh! I hiss at the drone, and Calm's voice automatically dips into a whisper and goes on as if nothing had happened. Your location and if you need assistance. Of course, at that exact moment, I see Alex strolling up the path, though he doesn't move toward the palace. Instead, he starts walking up the path in my direction, and I quickly stumble off the bench and into the bushes, praying that he didn't see me as I hide myself amongst the leaves. The drone follows me, then pauses at the edge of the sidewalk. I'm reminded that these things probably can't move off the grid of the pathways. Just through the leaves, I can see the damn thing's lights on, stubbornly waiting for my answer. At the same time, I hear the soft scraping of Alex's sandals on the pathway as he moves closer. Damn it! It would have been better if I just stayed on the bench. This drone is going to reveal me to Alex while I'm hiding in the bushes like the most suspicious person on the planet. I see the green tips of the cat's ears poke above the bushes as he hums softly. I crouch lower in the foliage until I can't even see that. I will the cat to just ignore the drone, but the humming stops and so do his footsteps, and I know he spotted it. Do you have a stray drone out here, Com? All drone machinery are accounted for, Alexios. What's this one doing? I feel my heart stop, swallowing hard. There's a pause as if Com is calculating something. That information is classified, Alex. By whom? Nephru. There's a pause, then a chuckle as Alex's footsteps pick up again, moving further away to my left. Oh, that jackal. I'm still holding my breath as I listen to the footsteps fade up the path, before slowly rising up from my crouch, glaring at the drone. Tell Nephru that I'm busy, but that I'll be back tonight. I have some things to tell him. Message received. Thank you, Kyllian. Yeah, no problem. I say it sarcastically as the drone floats off in its slow, lazy way. At this point, the sun is set completely, and I have to wonder why Alexios is headed in that particular direction, leading either toward the gates of the palace or the lake. I follow the path slowly, keeping my eyes peeled for the cat. At first, I'm almost positive that he would be heading for the gate, maybe on his way to the city. This would be the end of my little mission, since I know I can't leave the boundaries of the palace without being hurt somehow, probably killed. But instead I spot the cat's form, just barely visible in front of the lake, its surface glinting from the light of the moon. I stop and hide behind a tree, making sure that I'm not close to any of the lampposts. I watch as Alex moves around under the little gazebo with the watercrafts under it. Sure enough, a few minutes later, he comes gliding out on the sightseer. He floats over the shore, then out onto the lake, in the direction of the island. I know right away that I'm seeing something important. There's nothing on the island for the cat to take care of, as far as I know. Unless he's going out there for a nighttime outing on the beach, extremely doubtful, and he's definitely doing something suspicious. I wait for a while, watching as the dark form of the cat and the craft gets smaller and smaller until they basically disappear, out in the direction of the island. Of course, I know I can't follow him out there right now, but I can definitely tell Nephru about it. Nephru was in his room when I arrived, tapping away at what looks like a transparent tablet. It's an odd thing to see considering the non-existence of portable technology in this palace. Maybe it's a Kyllian thing. As soon as he sees me, the display slides back into the small metal bar that it had been projecting out of, and he turns to face me. Hello, Kyllian. You were gone for quite a while. Yeah. Care to share how your visit went with Cassius and hopefully Amicus? It takes me a moment to remember exactly what he's talking about. After my little trip, everything that happened before it seems so distant. I try to tell Nephru as much as I remember involving Cassius before the parent thing, and he seems impressed. I suppose bringing Cassius to our side won't be as difficult as I had previously thought. It seems he has similar misgivings about Cato. Yeah, and Amicus is doing okay. Just a bit depressed about everything that's happening, obviously. I pause then, which Nephru notices. Is there something else that happened? Take a deep breath, thinking how best to describe what I went through. Well, when I was coming back, there was this weird smell coming from the meditation room. Nephru raises an eyebrow, and I go on to explain how I'd ran into Cassius again, and everything that happened afterwards. When I finish, the jackal is quiet, just watching me with a narrowed gaze. This is usually the look he gives me when he's thinking hard about something, so I give him some time to respond. When he does, it's hesitant, reserved, not usually something I hear from Nephru. So it was a drug-induced hallucination, yes? Well, I guess so, but I think it was real too. Why, Cassius was there. He remembers seeing me with him. What's wrong? Well, it is a very primitive way to contact the parents. To put it bluntly, it does not work. It was a method used in the early days, during first contact between siblings and parent. They visited multiple times, and in between visits, some siblings, especially the wolves, would try to contact them again via psychotropic drug use. This could occasionally bring visions of higher beings, though they were not the parents, of course. Simply imagined beings conjured up by a chemically imbalanced brain. This is likely what you experienced. To truly contact the parents, you must do it through parental tech, complicated machinery that is able to transcend dimensions. It is usually only usable by a single person, such as the Emperor for the wolves or the Pharaoh for my people. Nephru stops talking at this point, allowing me to take all that information in, so maybe I had imagined it all, even if it had seemed so real. They told me they had a plan for me and everything. Oftentimes such drugs stroke the ego of the user. They make you feel as if you are at the center of the universe, as if you are important. Not saying that you aren't. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!